Hello, this is Jared Diebel, and I am performing my lecture for Chapter 5. Chapter 5 chose that we're going to be talking about market segmentation and segmentation strategies. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. The chapter starts off, we're talking about millennials. Millennials, as we know, are today's Gen Y. They're ages 18 to 24. Back in the 60s, the 18 to 24-year-olds were known as the boomers. In the 80s era, they were known as Gen X. So millennials are a very important topic today because they have a lot of influence, especially on buying and marketing. So the book talks about food and music and media and their sphere of influence, which is going to encompass not only just millennials, but people ages 18 to 35. So in 2010, this was 2.3 billion people, or 36.6% of the population. You can only imagine that's a lot of influence out there in the market today, or in 2010 at least. So when we talk about needs-based marketing in millennials in different age groups or demographics or eras, we need to think about usage, demographics, needs. What is going to pertain specifically to my target market? So you got to know who your target demographic is. This is going to come down to also price and problem solving. What's going to be attractive to these people, and then what specifically pertains to them. For instance, if we're talking about millennials, millennials are buying laptop computers. They're buying the new hip and trendy iPhone. They're not out there buying Metamucil, at least probably not very much. So something to consider when we're talking about our target market. So for needs-based marketing, we talk about segmentation, and there's a process that goes along with this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by identifying our customers' needs. So we're going to allow the needs to help identify the target market. We're going to allow their needs to kind of zero in on them. So this might include demographics or lifestyle forces and usage behaviors, and then we're going to use that to create who we are going to target. We don't want to fall into what's called the demographic trap. The book talks a lot about this, so that's where we focus solely on demographics to try to create our target segment. And the issue is that with that is, for the example given in the book, if we're trying to offer financial solutions in the financial market, and we look at demographics, well, we can consider age, income, education, investment amount, transaction frequency, investments purchased. And when we put all those together, that actually comes out to 729 potential market segments. So once we start going down the wormhole there, we could really overwhelm ourselves with too many options. So let's let our let's let our needs kind of drive us toward that target segment. So in the segmentation process, we have what we just talked about, the needs-based segmentation, then segment identification, then we go into attractiveness, profitability, positioning, and then we end with the strategy, or also known as acid test. And then lastly, to really fully implement our strategy, we need to come up with a mixed strategy, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a few minutes. So segment identification. After dividing our segments based on needs, we need to look at measurable variables such as demographics, lifestyles, and usage behaviors. So let's say we're selling shoes. Well, we know everyone needs shoes, or at least in the U.S. most people wear shoes. So, but we have different demographics. We have kids that might want light up shoes, teens that they may go for the more trendy or athletic type shoes, or millennials they may have all the above, or maybe prefer more fashionable shoes, and elderly they may not want fashionable shoes, but they find more value in comfort and support. So talking about attractiveness, what makes one segment attractive over another? So although we may identify our target demographic, or say with kids in light up shoes or teens in athletic shoes, that might not be the perfect market for us, because there's other things that play into the strategy, such as the demand. How much are they buying? How often are they buying? What's the competitiveness based on my competition? And what's the access to these products? So, a kid, in middle school, their parents might buy them one pair of shoes a school year. So, although I know how to sell to them, or I know how to pinpoint them in my marketing strategy, they may not be the most profitable, or they may be, depending on the amount of margin and markup I can put on my product. So as we go in to talk about a little bit more on profitability, we need to narrow down to the specific person. Again, who will buy at a premium price, or who's going to have the most volume or best access? So maybe in this situation, some people don't realize that teenagers actually have the most disposable income. They don't have bills to pay, and parents might give them an allowance, or college age kids, I guess more so. They have all this student loan refund money. They have a part-time job, and they don't really have many bills to pay, so they might be able to buy more shoes than somebody else. So maybe we decide that we wanted to target them in our marketing strategy. Well, once we've decided who we're going to target, let's say athletic shoes, we need to offer a value proposition. So how are we going to add value to our target market, especially over our competition? So we're going to do this by including benefits that the customer is looking for. We're talking about athletic shoes, maybe they want something more durable but fashionable. A quality sneaker, but it also looks good. What are these people looking for in their sneakers? Maybe it's the new Nike Shox. They want to have something that looks sleek and trendy, but also offers a good support and comfort when you're jumping around on the basketball court. So once we've really narrowed it down, we're going to do what's called an acid test, or segment strategy. This is where we use something called storyboards, which have been used in marketing for years. And storyboards, the way we use them is we bring in a pool of our target market, essentially, and we put somewhat of an ad campaign together on 3 different storyboards. So for the sake of the example, athletic shoes, I might put a board out there that says run faster. That's the highlight. That's what we're looking at. And they may include benefits that they're lightweight and they come at a medium tiered price. And then the second one you would show to this target group would be they're longer lasting. I prefer a tennis shoe that's gonna be longer lasting, because the Under Armour shoes I bought 3 months ago, they tear. So I'm gonna put in my benefits that one pair of these tennis shoes that I'm offering are going to last the life of 2 pair of some of my competitors. And then the last thing I might talk about, the value in protecting you from ankle sprains. So protect from sprains, and the benefits your ankle support. And essentially I'm going to have my group, or target demographic, go through and provide feedback on these, and give me an idea of how to really zero in on my marketing campaign. So once I've done that doesn't necessarily mean that my segment strategy is fully ready to be launched and implemented. And the reason for that is I may have narrowed it down. I know exactly who's going to have access, who's going to be the most profitable, what kind of value I can offer to those people, and exactly what's going to pertain to them. But at the end of the day, I need to do a mixed type strategy. Before I launch this marketing campaign, I need to know a couple other things that aren't just pertaining to the way that I'm going to launch it, but they pertain to, where can my target demographic buy? Can they easily buy? When are they going to buy? How am I going to launch this? What about price? What about my promotion? So, for instance, I may have decided to launch my new tennis shoes, but am I going to do it online? Am I going to do it in store? So if I'm targeting teenagers, they may have their parents take them to the mall from time to time, but in today's age, everyone's buying on Amazon. So am I going to try to implement these onto an e-commerce site, or am I going to try and go with brick and mortar retail stores? And then lastly, when it comes to promotion, what am I going to do to launch my product? Am I going to just launch it on a random day of the year? Or am I going to take into consideration that, teens are more likely to buy athletic shoes at the beginning of the year. So I might go for like a May or August push, or maybe I know that basketball season is going to be kicking up, on a certain date. So that might be the time that I decide to launch my athletic shoes. So there's a lot of different variables that go into the marketing strategy. So that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you for tuning in, and have a good rest of your day.